Hello, my name is Pete Stam, and I'd like to give you a brief overview of the service management software for the Mapix XA product. To start with, this is done in the software is accessible to the user via Internet Explorer. Nothing needs to be loaded on an individual machine. It's all loaded on a web server and on the AS400 or iSeries. The database is also on the iSeries. You'll see that the user's screen is divided into three separate frames. You have a menu frame on the left, you have a query frame in the middle at top, and you have a detail or record frame down below. Just to give you an overview of what business processes are supported with this software, I'll go ahead and point to the menu items. You can see that we support customer claims. Typically, you have a dealer network or a service provider network that did field service work for you, and if there was a warranty job, they would file a claim with you. This can be a very labor-intensive process. We facilitate that by allowing them to come onto the dealer or third-party section of your web page and file a claim, which automatically fills out the claim within service management, and then all it has to do is be approved, disapproved, or partially approved, and then it can be sent over to XA for a credit memo. So it greatly facilitates the process. We have incidents which support a call center or a tech support center. Inventory, you can do all your inventory transactions within service management, and you can choose whether to conduct or perform an inventory transaction against an integrated warehouse with XA or a non-integrated warehouse, which would mean service specific. Issues allows you to escalate problems into a high-level issue. The software will tell you which of your customers have that product that you define as having the issue, and then allows you to email a mass email communication to that customer base. It also keeps track for audit purposes any communications that you make to the customer base on that issue. Maintenance plans allows you to set up preventive maintenance plans, associate them with service contracts that you've sold to customers, and then we'll tell you when the next work order under that maintenance plan or preventive maintenance schedule is due for that customer, as well as tracking costs, so you can measure profitability of the service contracts you've sold. Product serialized history allows you to see at any point in the software, at any point of the process, complete history for that serial number. Projects, if you need to group multiple work orders together into a single project for management and reporting. Quotation allows you to quote under many different pricing scenarios, and then once the quote is approved, you can record the approval and create the sales order in XA. RMAs allows you to electronically create an RMA, whether you do so from the menu or from another document, such as an incident or a work order, and that RMA can then be electronically communicated to the customer with a tracking link, which allows them to 24/7 monitor the status of their RMA. Our customers typically report a drop in phone calls related to customers trying to check on what the status is of their RMA. Those calls can drop by as much as 80% now that they have 24/7 status checking capability. We also have vendor claims. This is for a warranty claim that you may have to honor, but there's some parts in there that which you have a warranty on with your supplier. So this allows you to electronically file that claim with your supplier, track it, create a purchase order over in XA. It's another point of integration to handle that transaction. And then work orders, which allow you for both managing field service work orders as well as repair depot work orders. What I've done is broken down this overview into what I think will give you the best sense of the software. And I've broken it down into showing you a little bit about the user experience. How flexible is it? How easy it will be for a user to interact with the software. I want to give you a view of the logical workflow, how it fits your business process electronically. I want to show you a few key features in a given point of the process. I want to point out to you the various integration points with the Mapex XA, the N4 XA solution. There are something over 60 integration points with XA. And then I want to show you the metrics, because once you get a feel for the user experience and the process experience, how well can it fit and adjust to the business process, then the next question is, of course, how can I get information out of this? How can I keep an eye on my metrics? So those are the main bullet points that I'd like to hit with this overview. So I'll start with something we call a consolidated view. It's called a consolidated view because it displays all the consolidated activity. The user can select various ways to look at this consolidated activity, whether they choose by customer, date created, serial number, part number, any combination of all of these fields. And it will bring up all the activity associated with their criteria. The nice thing that this allows the user to do is construct a query any way they like. Everyone looks at information differently. So the user can rearrange these columns, they can hide columns, they can change the sequence, change the sort. The software will remember for each individual query the user is in anywhere in this software how they like to look at information. So it saves them time, it improves the customer response or analysis time by being able to quickly get at the information they're looking for. Here in this consolidated query, I did say that it consolidates all the activity, but it also puts it into a logical order. So you can see, for example, where there's an incident. Below the incident, there's an RMA. Below the RMA is a work order and then a shipment. That means each one of these documents at that point of the business process led to a subsequent business process kicking in. And you can tell because they share the same color band, and one document is indented under the preceding document, that these are all related to one transaction for the customer. They are all managed by the same ticket number, which is kept automatically by the software for each of these points in the business process. As an example, we'll go ahead and minimize the query and select one of the documents, and you can see down below, without having to go anywhere else in the software, they can view each of these documents one at a time. They can maximize that document, and they can get at the information they're looking for. Other aspects of customization are any of these fields or menu items or tab items may be hidden. They can be hidden from view. If they're not needed for that business process, then they're not seen. They don't represent clutter. Also, the field names and tab names and the menu names can all be changed so that it matches the industry terminology or internal terminology that you use, so no one has to adjust or change terminology. One other thing that you can do to customize is you can create required fields. You can just pick and choose which fields do you want to be required to ensure that you collect the information that you need to collect. I'd like to go ahead and go into the RMA and show you a couple of key features in the software. Go ahead and we'll pick a sample RMA. Under the Assignment tab is an example of how you can assign the different documents within the process to additional people or additional teams of people. You have a choice of up to 3 roles, and we can group them group the users per role. They can belong to up to 3 roles here. Or actually, they can belong up to unlimited roles, but you can select up to 3 roles when you make an assignment. Or you can assign it to an individual. This is the workflow. This will, once this document, this RMA or this call or this work order is assigned to this individual or assigned to this team of people, it will appear in their inbox for action. So it's an electronic workflow to support the way the business process flows. Another feature to point out are the attachments, and the users can attach any number of files, any kind of files to a document. If a subsequent document were to be created from this document, the attachments would follow as well as the other data. Forms This is an example of the electronic communication with your customers. When you've collected the information, it will map automatically to your form with your logo and your design, and this form can then be emailed to the customer. The customer can then check 24/7 the status of their RMA or the status of their incident by just clicking the tracking link in this emailed form. And that will always provide them with an up-to-minute status of their incident or RMA or issue. Under the actions, you can see a lot of the different actions that can be taken. From this RMA, I can create a customer order in XA. I can create a credit memo in XA. I can create a vendor claim. I can create a work order, multiple work orders if I have multiple parts on here, or I can create a quote to quote the customer. I'd like to also show you now the work order and point out a couple of features in the work order. I'll pull up a sample work order. Okay, a couple of key points here would be under the Employee tab. I can select teams or individuals of employees as fit the service location address by zip code. If I can't find a technician for that zip code, I can begin to expand the search. I can go to an area or a collection of zip codes, then a sub-region, then a region, and it will show me the technicians or teams available. I can also be more specific in my criteria and select specific skills. I need someone with these skills, and it will refine the list further. Once the available engineers or technicians are displayed, I can select on one or multiples, like for instance all three, and it will show me their calendars. I can then see what they're working on, drill down on those work orders, current or scheduled for the future. I can just select which day I want these people to work on this work order, and it will assign these technicians to this work order for that time frame. Another important feature of the work order is the ability to import templates. So all of these tasks, all of these repairs, all of these inspections, and so on, if they can be somewhat standardized in advance in terms of instructions, steps to be taken, labor hours, parts, whatever you can think of, if it can be identified beforehand, we can create a template for it from the menu, and then all we have to do is import that template. And now the technician has available the part lists that are needed for this particular task, as well as the steps which have to be performed. It's a lot more accurate, and it's obviously greater for productivity. And again, from the actions in the work order, there are different things that can be done. I can create a customer claim from a work order, a vendor claim, a customer order in XA. I can create a credit memo in XA, a quote, an RMA, or a shipment. In addition, the work order has a fairly substantial point of integration with the XA manufacturing order. So if you needed to use a manufacturing order to perform a repair, I merely would change the type of the work order to manufacturing. It would bring up a couple of additional fields necessary for XA, and then under Actions, I could just select Create Manufacturing Order. So I've shown you the logical workflow, how it's assigned from one department or one individual to another, and it makes use of their inbox to transfer the documents and information and instructions. I've showed you communication with your customer base, taking the data that exists in one of these records and having it mapped automatically to a form for email. Talked about some of the examples of integration with XA so that you can leverage your investment with XA and you do not have to maintain two different databases. Talked about user experience in terms of flexibility and the software being able to form itself to that user's needs. Now I'd like to end with a little bit on the metrics. So we have reporting, we have KPIs, we have forecasting, and we have a dashboard. so it can all be grouped together and managed. So I'd like to just show you briefly the forecasting capability. When you're collecting all this data, whether it's warranty expense, whether it's headcount, whether it's service contract, profitability, so on, it's nice to be able to use all this data you're collecting. So you can come into the forecasting module, select what it is that you would like to forecast. It could be return rates for a product. Then the software will fit the best statistical model to that data depending upon the completeness of the data. You can override it and select a different model if you like, but it will fit the best model. It displays then the forecasting information in a graph. You can fit a curve to it, and you can also look at it in absolute terms. What was the historical data and what is the forecasted data? Then I'd like to end with showing you the dashboard. The dashboard is where you can pull all the metrics together. Everyone, users and management, can have unlimited number of dashboards. They just create it from the menu. And here's an example of one. This has some shortcuts to different parts of the software in the left-hand box or element. Then you can see we have a couple of alert boxes, one for RMAs, which are overdue. And on any of these alerts, I could drill down to that document. I could also click on a blue icon for tracking, and it would plug in the tracking number into a FedEx or DHL or UPS and let me know the status of that item. I have work order alerts, work orders that are overdue, and I also have various graphs available for analysis. Now, you can have any number of dashboards. You may have one for analysis on a certain problem you're working on. You may have another one set up for a weekly meeting or a quarterly quality review on returned products or field service replaced products or service contracts. So all these dashboards can exist in that drop-down for the user. When it's time to present that data, they don't have to waste time compiling information. They just have to review it and analyze it and know what they're going to talk about. You can maximize any of these graphs. You can drill down on any of the data series to answer that all-important question, where did the number come from? It will show you all the records that make up that data series. You can then click on any record and see the details of the transaction in the window below, which if you would like, you can maximize, and then you can actually analyze the details. You can save the graph, email it to someone, print the graph, and so on. So you have a lot of flexibility in working these with the software to the fit of the business process for the user experience as far as finding information and capturing it. And then you also have strong flexibility in being able to analyze the results and present the results for communications purposes. Thank you for your time today.